The next exercise is quite simple, straightforward, and we are on the final leg of the workshop today. Woo! Final few slides and one more exercise, and that's it, I promise you. But just a quick recap. We have been through a good few stages today to get here. We started off with a repository. Now, I've had a comment that I've frightened you all about the repository. So I just want to set the record straight. I think there's only one person terrified in the room, but, you know, I'll not point that person out. I was told that I may have suggested that you have to have a repository to do all this stuff in Visual Studio. You don't. If you don't have a repository and you just don't include files, that's fine. You know, you can still do all the building in Visual Studio, it'll still build, it'll still find your include files, and if you include your include files as content files, it'll know that you've changed them and all that kind of good stuff. So don't think you have to have a repository. But saying that, it's better if you do have a repository, because life is so much easier. So we started off with the repository, and then we've gone through the various stages and project types that Visual Studio and Synergy allows us. As in, we created a non-Synergy type of project so we could build our window library. The result of that project is a console application, which we're not interested in. But the fact is we can run pre- and post-build scripts, and it knows about our window libraries that when they change they need building, therefore we can build window libraries. So if you've got other projects that do other things that are not Synergy related, you can plug those in, and that may be a way of doing that for you. We gave you some code. It's not fancy, it's old style, you know, this is what you've got in your environments today kind of stuff. And from that you built object libraries, executable libraries, mainline projects. Okay, so they all built together and you could run a nice UI toolkit application. That could be your cell-based application today if you were on Windows. For those of you on Unix and or Windows, you can still use Visual Studio to build your Unix-based applications. We're not going through it today because I've only just literally thought about it, but you can have a map drive and you can tell the, remember things like the EXIDIR, for the different configurations, there is a Linux configuration that you can then point to a shared map drive. And you can put your DBRs and your ELBs and your object libraries and all that kind of stuff on there. So within Visual Studio, you can have your complete development environment, but be building and targeting a Unix platform. Okay? There are some capabilities around the VMS, but it's not quite as simple and not quite as straightforward. And if you are interested in doing either of those, then please hassle me during the week, and I will be more than happy to talk to you about it. So our donkey's year old Synergy application got a facelift by using the .NET API, and we generated code, so we built the ability to generate code and build the code inside a .NET interop project. Then we were able to take our existing code and build it into a native .NET assembly without making any changes to the source files. So the next and final step is to create a native desktop application, and that's where we'll stop for the day. Again, it's going to be Synergy.net. The new app is going to use infodristics controls to provide a card view, and then we're going to use Bing to provide some mapping. So when you click on one of the images, it'll actually show you where that vinyl was purchased from in the Bing maps in the window. You'll be able to resize the window and move the maps up and all that kind of stuff. I will state right here, right now for the record, this final exercise is very simple to do and will take an age to run. It really is slow. The Bing maps are really, really slow. And the infodristics card view is also really, really slow. I don't know why, I never got it to the bottom of it, but it is just really slow. So don't expect lightning performance, just let it do what its thing and go, oh, that looks nice and pretty. I've been able to build that, life is good. So, as I say, we're on the homeward straight now. Similar to previous exercises, we're going to reference some assemblies to enable our project to build. Remember in the previous one we referenced our UI toolkit, so Synergex, SynergyDE, tklib. Now this assembly was known to Visual Studio. When Synergy SDI is installed, it plugs things like the toolkit assemblies that we provide into Visual Studio. The assemblies we're going to give you today will not be known to Visual Studio, so you're actually going to browse for them and find them on disk. The assemblies we're going to give you some Infragistics assemblies, we're going to give you a Microsoft Bing Maps assembly, and we're going to give you an assembly with the actual user interface component in it. The reason we're doing that, and it is legal and above board, so don't worry about it, but normally you would need licenses for both maps and Infragistics. So if we just gave you the DLLs and said, there's Infragistics, go away and build something with it, you would all need an Infragistics developer license and you would all need the Bing Maps, I want to consume this license. By providing the capabilities inside something that I've written and just giving you that, because you're interfacing with that and not the native controls for Infragistics and the Bing Maps, there's no licensing requirements for you, okay? You're essentially using it as a runtime. So it is all licensed inside the assemblies we give you. The final exercise of the day, as I said, we're going to create a simple WPF application and add the provided controls or code to it. You'll then reference the provided libraries, reference your assemblies, and off you go. So be patient, go slow, and you should get it all working. Okay?